welcome to another episode of Dreaming in Fibre. I am your host Sarah from sarastexturecrafts.com, and you can find the show notes at dreaminginfibre.blogspot.co.uk or .com. How are you? It is January 2015. I can't quite believe it. It's Christmas holidays went very quickly, but were very welcomed as well. I was really tired at the end of last year, so having some time off was great. Unfortunately, it having been quite so busy at the end of 2014, it meant the first week of my holiday I got ill. It's the way it goes. The moment you relax, you sort of fall foul of every bug and sniffle that's around. But it wasn't too bad. I spent the week, I guess, really sort of covered in blankets and sitting on the sofa and watching TV and sitting, sort of doing the odd bit of knitting here and there. So whilst I haven't got a huge amount of knitting to show you, I did manage to catch up on some knitting and start some new projects that I spoke about last time. So all in all, wasn't too bad. And then of course we had Christmas as well, which I don't know about you, but this year, although it was quiet, it was just really nice and relaxing, which is exactly what both myself and Darren needed. So I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas as well, and a pleasant New Year, and that it was equally as relaxing and joyful as ours was. And I hope you got lots of knitting in as well, because I certainly felt like I had more opportunity to knit, although I didn't always choose to knit, it was quite nice having that break and having a moment or two where I could decide what I wanted to do rather than sort of feeling as if I was rushing around here or there. So yeah, I came back 5th of January, I think was my first day back to work, and I felt very refreshed and sort of raring to go. So let's start with our shop news. I wanted to first of all mention that I'm having a price freeze for January. If you have been a long-time supporter of Sara's Texture Crafts, or you've been a viewer of the podcast, you will have heard me say this previous Januaries as well. But this is what I like to do in January to offer my customers a sale, if you like. So basically I hold prices to the previous year's rates. So although prices for me have gone up with some of my suppliers, I'm holding the prices as to 2014 for the whole of January 2015. So if you need anything, pop across to sarastexturecrafts.com and you can get it at the sale price. On top of that, I want to announce a couple of new things in terms of a shop update. So the first thing is paper patterns. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes down here, which are, very extensive. You can see where I'm going with this episode. So paper patterns. I think I spoke about this briefly last time, about the whole issue of VAT pattern changes and things like that within the EU. So I wanted to first of all clear that up, and then I'll talk a bit about paper patterns as well, which I might have alluded to a little bit in the last episode. So essentially I now sell my digital patterns via Ravelry and via loveknitting.com. If you're on Ravelry, you purchase in exactly the same way that you would have done, but if you're an EU member state that's affected by the new rules, then you'll be transferred to the Love Knitting shopping cart. And what that does is that will add VAT relevant to where you live in the EU. They are going to be VAT compliant on my behalf, so it saves me a lot of hassle, and it means that I can go forward and continue to offer new and exciting designs via their forum, but still have them available on Ravelry. So big thank you to loveknitting.com, but also a big thank you to Ravelry. I know that Casey in particular has been working tirelessly on this, and I know the guys behind the scenes as well have also been working on this and continue to work on this as an issue going forward. So big thank you to those guys for making life so much easier for small businesses like me. I cannot tell you how much we appreciate this, I really can't. So yes, I'm still available on Ravelry, but also you can go direct to loveknitting.com and you'll be able to find Sara's Texture Crafts under the indie patterns, which is quite exciting. It's the first time I've sort of seen myself on a big website, as it were, outside of Ravelry. The way Love Knitting works means that I've had to, for some of my patterns, I've had to give alternative yarns that they sell, which is kind of almost a conflict of interest, but at the same time I don't sell a huge amount of patterns, so I don't know how much seriously that's going to affect my business as such. But I know that generally people, you know, do make the effort to come and find the website and see what I have for sale, and certainly I've noticed over Christmas and since I've been back, pre-orders have gone through the roof, doubled, tripled in some cases. So wow. This is kind of why the speed and the pace of the podcast so far is kind of quite fast, because I am up against it. I've got so much to get done that I'm pulling out extra time and extra dye days. I worked yesterday, Sunday as well, so looking a little bit tired, but I'm happy to be back at the dye pots, and I'm happy to be sending you all of this lovely yarn and fluff, and I hope that you love it as much as I enjoy dyeing. I really do. So thank you for that. So that's the paper patterns. The second one is I wanted to mention that there's a new wool base. So for the yarn, the base, I've called it standard, my standard base, and I'll show you that because I'm knitting up samples as we speak, so I'll show you that. It knits really nicely. I think it's going to be a good alternative to my superwash sock yarn. It is a superwash, it's merino superwash, but it kind of keeps, it gives you another option at that price level. It doesn't have the high twist that my superwash base does, but what it does do is it gives you something at that lower price bracket that will give you a really good saturate colour option in all of the colour ranges that I do in dye techniques, and it also means that, you know, you could use that quite easily for shawls and anything that you need a good 4-ply for, really. So look out for that. That's called my standard base, standard sock base, and you can find details of that on the website. If you click on the knitting yarn tab, which is along the left hand sort of category menu at sarastexturecrafts.com, I give you all of the full details of yardage and that kind of thing on there. I will, as I'm knitting the samples and finish them and show you, I haven't finished them to show you right now because these are new dye techniques I've also been practicing with, so they're kind of a little bit still on the hush-hush until I get time to work on those techniques and bring out a range of colours. But I'm really excited about this base and about the prospect of these new dye techniques as well. So we'll look out for those and chat about those a little bit later on in following podcasts. The next thing I've got coming out, which will happen on the 15th of January, is my Cloisters hat pattern. If you have been following my gradient spinning tutorials, we've gone through lots of different things, and I gave you a pattern pre-Christmas. Now I'm giving you the second pattern, which is a hat. Sorry, I'm going to reach behind me. And wasn't prepared, and it gives you a simple lace pattern for you to spin your gradient fibre into yarn, and then it gives you an option for knitting as well, which I think is quite good, and it's perfect for this time of year as well, so keep an eye out for that. That will come out on the 15th. I'm going to insert a picture here. And then the final thing to mention is Colour Club. Colour Club will close, I think it's on the 23rd of January, so check that out at sarastexturecrafts.com. I've got a few spaces left, not many though. I have to say the people who've come forward and bought so far have been overly generous, and I've been filling up spaces pretty quick, and I did put extra on this time because I'm including the bat element as well. So come over to sarastexturecrafts.com and check that out. You can choose from yarn options, from fibre options, from bat options, or a combination of all of the above. Just remember, when you do select whichever option you want, that you also select the country area that you're from, and then that will give you your price including shipping as well, so there's no extra to pay for that. So that's all for the shop news. Briefly in blog news, I just wanted to talk about the craft along that we've been having. It started on the 1st of January, and really pleased to say that lots of people have been entering all the things that they've been doing, from cardigans to hats and so on. And so I wanted to kind of show you what I've been doing. So I haven't entered all of these onto the page, and I must get and do that, but I've been working on some spinning, which I'll talk about in a moment, and also just cast off last night some socks which I hadn't had a chance to post about, but they just sort of fell off the needles, and again I'll talk about those in whips in just a second. So I wanted to ask you to pop over to the blog on craftsoftexture.com, and on the left hand column you'll find a link to our Facebook group. Everyone is welcome. The only limitation within the craft along is that you're crafting with something that has an element of wool in it. So it doesn't have to be 100% wool, it could be an acrylic blend if you're knitting, but you don't have to knit or crochet. You could weave, you could needle felt, wet felt, textiles, anything, as long as you're using something that has wool in it in your material list. So do pop along and check that out and join in with us, and come and chat and meet some new people as well, because there's lots of inspiring things happening. So let's go back and talk about those whips. So I'll start with spinning first. This is I don't think I've got a blend here. Oh yes I have. Okay, I'm back. Right, now in the shop you may have seen my colour Bangalore, which is a merino and bamboo blend, so I'm going to insert a picture here. I decided that I was going to spin some up for me before it all disappeared into the ether, as these things do before I get a chance to have a go. So I've got a 2-ply, and I've got a small Navajo skein as well, just from the rest of the final bobbin. So it's not a huge amount. I think it's probably about 40-50 grams, but it puffed up quite nicely. It was a joy to spin. Not sure what I'm going to make with it. It might be a cowl or something like that. I may add to it. I may see if I can grab some more, maybe spin up some more and make a long cowl. I don't know. Any ideas? Welcome. Pop over to either YouTube or the show notes page at dreamingandfibre.blogspot.co.uk or .com, and let me know what you think I should knit with this. The next thing I ought to show you is the socks that I alluded to earlier. So I was knitting with Chope Vola's Zauberball. I think it's the Crazy Zauberball because it's a 2-ply. This is their 4-ply weight, and I think it's got some nylon in it, so it's quite good for socks. So I decided I got that for Christmas from my mum. So after I finished my previous pair of socks, which I'll show you in a moment, I cast these on immediately, and I've called them my New Year bed socks, because it didn't get cold. I don't know about you, but it was so cold here that all I could think about was bed socks, so I had to cast them on. I've done a little pointed pixie toe, just give me a little bit of whimsy. What's life without whimsy, eh? And standard heel. I didn't do anything fancy, so I just basically stockinette heel, because they're bed socks, it's fine. And plain vanilla top down socks, and there you go, a little rainbow at bedtime. So I'm enjoying those immensely, and just finished them last night, so I'm hoping that I will get to wear them quite soon before I have to put all of my bed socks away for the year. So enjoyed those. The next, or the thing that I finished before then, was my fruit punch socks. These I cast on Christmas Eve and joined in the Little Bobbins Ravelry knit along. So these are mine. I'll insert a picture here. And they are my high twist superwash sock base, and they are on colour Fruit Punch, which was a previous club colourway. And I really love these, can't wait to wear them, but they're going to make one trip out first without being worn, which is going to be at Craft for Crafters, which I'll talk about in a moment or two. So love those. I'm going to take a picture. Well, you would have seen the picture, but that picture I need to pop it into the Ravelry group. I cast these on Christmas Eve, but with everything that was going on, I actually finished them New Year's Day, which for me is a really long time for a pair of socks if I'm just sitting and knitting those socks, particularly on holiday. But what with, you know, meeting up with family and not particularly feeling brilliant, I just decided that, you know, it doesn't matter if I have the same pair of socks on the needles for a while. And I did have a couple of other projects on the go as well. I probably spoke about this last time. This is the runway hat. I might have showed you this actually in the last podcast. I might have started it. And I think I probably only knit a small amount, but I'm going to show a picture here. And I don't know whether you can see really. It doesn't look so brilliant because my hair's all up there, but it's actually really comfortable on. This is my barber pole base, which is a new base that I introduced before Christmas, and this is my sample knit up. It's lovely and soft and squishy and bouncy. There's good colour definition, and it on semi-solid it kind of makes a slight difference because one of the strands of the yarn is merino and the other two are merino superwash, so they dye slightly differently, giving you that barber pole effect in the strand of yarn, and so it knits up a bit like a marl sort of effect, and it's lovely. So I'm looking forward to knitting more with this one, and I've dyed some up for the show as well, so if you're coming to Craft for Crafters you can check that out. The other two things are works in progress, so I'm going to reach over and show you those. This I may have have spoke about last time. This is the Wave Shawlette, I think it's called. Let me just have a look. Yeah, it's called Wave by Kirsten Finlay, and she's known as Skein to you and I, and she hand dyes beautiful yarns and is based in Australia. So if you don't know her, and I'm sure you do, then go check her out because she's got some really beautiful stuff. I did purchase a skein quite some time ago, and I'm really thinking that I ought to get on and knit that up into something. I'm loving her patterns, so I think it will be an excuse to maybe try something else from her. So if you've got any ideas, if you've knit with skein yarns before and you've got any ideas for her colourways, hold on a moment and I shall reach and find said skein, then you can tell me what you would knit with it. Sorry, I'm dropping yarn everywhere. This is the yarn, so it's an over dyed technique. That's the tag, skein. And this is her merino silk sport weight, and I've got 332 metres at 95 grams. in colour Night. So that's the details. And it's yeah, really nice colour. It's not my usual colours, mixing purple with yellow and a green, but I was really drawn to it on the screen and really love it in real life, which is partly why it's still sitting here, because I love it in the skein so much. I'm waiting to find that perfect project to knit it with. So if you've got any ideas, or if you've knit any of the other patterns that Kristen has made, then please let me know. But this is the beginning of the wave pattern. I've done a few repeats, as you can see. So I've done this eyelet part, which I think she calls Tunisian eyelets, I think, and then there's a garter section as well. That's coming on quite nicely. I'm using my Shine base in colour Pewter. So if I show you that, hopefully you can see the way the light catches on the top of the skein. So that's merino and tencel, and it's really soft and squishy to knit with. The only reason why I haven't got any further with it is because whilst I wasn't feeling too well that first week of Christmas, it meant that I really didn't want to mess about knitting anything more than plain stockinette really. So I just about managed with the woolly wormhead hat, the runway hat, and then all I could think about was either just watching films or casting on socks. So I didn't get a huge amount of this done, but hopefully by next time I might be able to show you a bit more, and it might wait until February because of course I've got Craft for Crafters coming up. So final reach for the final project, and I started this last night. This is, I'm using this yarn, it's called the Steppe Yarn by Elstermann, which is a German company, and from what I can understand it's got aloe vera in it, which makes it good for your feet. It's extra soft and easy care. It's nice and soft, I have to say. It's virgin wool superwash and polyamide. Sorry about that, the battery ran out there. So as I say, this is the first time I'm knitting with this yarn. It's nice and soft, and it was a good price as well. I can't remember off the top of my head exactly how much it cost, but I think it was relatively inexpensive, and I bought it from loveknitting.com, so check that out. I'm knitting these up for Darren, and this is called Colour Vulcan, I think. So yeah, I'm enjoying that, and I just literally started it last night, so not much done at all. So that's it for whips and finished projects. The only remaining thing left to say for this podcast is a massive thank you to everybody who ordered over Christmas as well. I was kind of overwhelmed with everybody who took part in my mini newsletter sales, so thank you ever so much for that. Thank you as well if you've been buying since I've come back in the 5th of January, because I have been inundated with orders. So as I said earlier, it's been a real pleasure to get back to the dye pots, and the response has been phenomenal, so I'm hoping this good start will continue. Speaking of which, just to mention Craft for Crafters, which is coming up at the end of the month. If you don't know about Craft for Crafters, it's a Southwest craft event at West Point in Exeter. It's from the 29th to the 31st of January. I shall be there on stand number 45, I think. If you were there, saw me last year, it's the same position, so up near the card stuff. So please don't walk down those aisles and think that there's no one else other than card people, because I am there. And I'm full of colour. There's going to be lots more yarn to choose from this year, lots more dyed tops as well, and bats. There's also going to be a huge pick and mix table, and next podcast I'm going to show you everything that there is to see about Craft for Crafters. So if you can't make it, watch out for the next podcast. If you can make it, please come and see me on Stand 45. I'm also going to be teaching a class on wet felting bracelets. So it's a quick beginner intro level project. It's cost £3 and it'll probably take you about half an hour. I'm not sure yet what the times are, but I think you can book on the days. I think it's first come first served basis because I've only got spaces I think for about 15 people in a class, so check that out. Other than that, if you do need anything, you can find me at www.sarastexturecrafts.com, and yeah, I hope you had a wonderful Christmas and are looking forward to a fabulous 2015. I've got lots of stuff coming up that I'm bursting at the seams to tell you, but I can't. Anyway, I shall catch you soon, so have a wonderful January, and I'll catch you in February with more Dooming and Fibre news. So until then, I hope you doom and fibre, and I'll catch you soon, guys. Cheers!